has been a mass uproar this month during Cynthia Erivo's one-woman show of her playing Dracula and all the other roles. There is more than one incident, and people were not happy about it. One incident even involved crew members having to walk her off the stage. Well, this video is right up my street. Hello and welcome back to Chat About It, Don't Shout About It with me, Rachel, the Queen of the Woke, as crowned by one of my haters.
I crown you Queen of the Woke!
Let's chat about it. Have any of you been to see Dracula? If so, what was it like? And what do you think we need to do about theatre etiquette? And that question will play into something later on in the video. Please do let me know in the comments below, and please keep it friendly with each other in the chat and drop us a sub. We've got to get this channel moving again, baby. Today I've taken some quotes from the Metro. The full article is linked below, although I will say take some of this with a pinch of salt, as it quotes a fair bit from the Sun, okay? But it's still quite interesting, to say the least. Cynthia Erivo faces backlash from disgruntled fans after Dracula performance was axed. Yeah, you heard that correctly. The show was axed and people were naturally upset. This article was written on the 5th of May by Piera Willix, and it does still stand because it's very interesting and you can apply this to other areas of entertainment as well. Just please bear in mind that this happened over a week ago. The show's not been cancelled in its entirety. It was just certain performances that had been cancelled. But we'll continue. A week after Cynthia Erivo halted a performance of Dracula to call out a disruptive audience member, a matinee show of the production has been cancelled. We will get to the disruptive audience member much later, but what has really got people in an uproar is the cancellation of the matinee show. There was reportedly no explanation as to why, and all remaining tickets were taken off sale, and naturally people were not happy about it, and this is what they had to say. Last week there were concerns about the show going ahead, and now it has been axed. It's disgusting because people have spent money on tickets, not counting travel and probably hotels, and now it's been scrapped. They added, ticket holders have been told that they can exchange their ticket for another day, but doesn't feel like it's good enough because people will still lose money. The article does go on to mention that it is the second time a performance of Dracula has been cancelled. Now, it's this one quote, though, that I'm going to talk about next. It's really got me thinking. This is from, what would have been an audience member. At this point, I'm not even going to try and rebook. I'm pretty disgusted with how this has been handled, and I don't want to keep paying for a production that clearly isn't reliable, they said. The word reliable repeated in my head, and I went and I did some digging, all right? I knew this was a one-woman show, but I can tell you this is 100% a one-woman show. There's no understudy, no swing, nothing. What on earth were they thinking? No understudies, not even one. If you don't know what an understudy is, then I can do a whole other video on the understudy's role within the context of performing and the swings. However, in short, an understudy is a performer who functions as sickness and holiday cover for a role. You know, a bit like when you phone someone up, say, can you come in and do it, except the understudy is actually in the theatre already. A lot of these tickets for this show sell for over £50. Some do a lottery of 30, but the majority go over 50. The most expensive is £185. Why is that a financial risk you are willing to take? It would be cheaper to have an understudy. People were theorising it's because there's a lot of other roles that have been filmed prior to the show, and that's why there is no understudy. I would say that's a pretty poor excuse, all right? There are plenty of shows out there where material has had to be filmed with more than one actor, the main one and the understudies, okay? You can have the understudy, film that footage, ready to go. It's easy enough. And what about the audience members? A lot of these audience members would have travelled specifically to see Cynthia Erivo. Others would travel for the love of theatre, of course. Theatre trips in the West End can cost in the regions of £300 plus, depending on how you budget. And not everyone is able to rebook or even afford to be able to go again. I hope they got their refunds. Let's just put it like that. It's insane. Now, they also had to stop a show as well because of a disruptive audience member. Sorry. Did I say a disruptive audience member? Well, I got that kind of wrong. Yes, the audience member was disruptive, but Cynthia decided that she was going to stop the show. To deal with it, the audience member was using their phone. Listen to this. However, about an hour into the show, she stopped it to reprimand an audience member who had broken the rules and taken their phone out to film her on stage. Yeah. Can you believe it? She did that. She stopped the show, apparently. This is what she said. She straight up called the guy out, put her hand up and said, "Excuse me, are you filming right now?" And the person said, "Sorry." And she said, "Did you just say sorry?" And was immediately surrounded by crew and walked off, one person who had been in the theatre explained. The attendee was then kicked out by security, with the show stopped for about 10 minutes after Cynthia temporarily left the stage. Yeah, right. Okay. Now I'm going to make this one thing perfectly clear. Cynthia's not wrong in this case. She isn't. That type of theatre etiquette is deeply annoying, but it should be up to the ushers and the usherettes to deal with that. Now, maybe they did. Okay, I'm not saying that they didn't. Who knows? But clearly it was bothering Cynthia enough for her to stop the show. She's lucky she has celebrity status. Otherwise, she would have been fired for doing that. And it's unusual for an audience member as well to be kicked out of a show for phone usage. Most of the time, you just go, "Can you stop using your phone, please? Please put that away." It gets put away and nothing else is said, and the show carries on as if nothing had happened. That's normally what happens. If an audience member is exceptionally disruptive, like shouting and whatever, then, maybe consider their removal. I don't know why people can't just keep their phones in their bags. Now, what bothers me, though, about what I've just read to you is that it quoted her saying, "Did you just say sorry?" before she's walked off by the stage and crew, right? Now, remember, this is, take it with a pinch of salt, okay? It might not be true, all right? Could just be a rumor. But if that is the case, why did that happen? If the audience member has said sorry, then accept it and move on. Like, in general, all right? Just, okay, they're sorry, fine, let's carry on with the show. It's not like something drastic has happened. Yes, it's deeply annoying. Yes, it's deeply distracting. It sounded like if this did happen, if she took it as an insult, and it makes me wonder if perhaps the crew sensed danger of an outburst that wouldn't have looked good for the show. It's possible. I don't really know. It's just what's in the article, okay? It's just an interesting talking point, even if it isn't true. The article also mentions a quote from The Sun about her diva moments. And once again, take it with a pinch of salt, all right? Let's read this. The Sun claimed last week there were issues behind the scenes of the critically acclaimed show, with one person describing the production as an endless headache. Cynthia is a big Hollywood star, so you could forgive her for having some diva moments, but there has been so much chaos behind the scenes. And I can see that it being an issue, a one-woman show, it would create issues behind the scenes, because if she don't turn up, if she's running late, things can go wrong, and if you've got no understudy, what you're going to do. It's a bit of a mad panic. But if people witness that moment on stage, if does make you wonder, doesn't it? Now, as an overall analysis, it is always in the best interests of the productions and audiences, and I'm talking overall in general now, okay, aside from the rumour, to have understudies if shows are in a good financial stead to have them, all right? I know not every show can have them. This one, is clearly in good financial stead to have it. The show, they wouldn't have had Cynthia if it didn't have money, and nor would it be at the Noel Coward's Theatre under Cameron Mackintosh's theatres, right? You need money. You need money in order to be able to work with Cynthia and put those shows on in those theatre under Cameron Mackintosh. Now, this is why when you are creating shows, you need to put the thought into how something like a one-person plays all characters or one-person acted show will impact the audience member from the monetary perspective. I have seen a one-person show. It was a ghost story, right? So one actor on stage the entire time. I say one actor, obviously there was the ghost as well, but we don't credit the ghosts in theatres, right? We don't do that. But there was an understudy for the main guy who was doing all the stuff on stage. Anywho, but you need to put the thought into it. Will it impact the audience from a monetary perspective? Is it going to burn a hole in their pockets? And if the shows are being cancelled, in this case, with no understudy, no swing, it does burn that hole. Then we have the issue of theatre etiquette. If Cynthia dealt with it this way, should she have done this, knowing that she may have been walked off stage? Right? Okay, now, obviously, again, it's just a rumour. I want to make that perfectly clear. She presents this whole demeanour in interviews that's soft and gentle, minus the interviews that she did with Ariana Grande, but yet gets angry over the smallest of things. A good example of that was the Wicked poster, for example. If you remember that whole debacle where a fan made an adaptation to the movie poster to make it look more like the original from the Broadway theatre production. Now, I'll leave you to discuss all of that in the comments section below, but please do remember it is just rumours. That's what I think. Let me know what you think. Chat about it, don't shout about it. Drop us a sub. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you soon. Bye bye. Thank you for watching today. Don't forget you can join me on my other platforms as well. I've got YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, X, TikTok, Instagram, Locals, Substack, and I also have a Discord. Everything is linked below.